Do you know the best thing that happened for India was the Chandrayaan failed. For the first time, 137 crore Indians held each other's hands and they said, my grandmother, she said, it's okay. We'll try it next time. And then I asked her, when I failed in math, where was this optimism? If you are in a sulky job, if you are doing something wherein on a Monday you feel like a Garfield, you're not excited to get up on a Monday morning, you really should think about your life, because it takes 10 raised to the power of 84 trillion to be born as a human. Don't waste even a single day doing something that you don't find joy in. Do you know the word journey? The first, the second and the seventh alphabet are J-O-Y. In Indian society, we say that the joy comes at the end of the journey. The true joy is right now. You can be born wherever you want, but if you die there, I don't want to regret tomorrow that I didn't try. AI will augment you to become a superhuman. AI cannot get you the integrity.
Yeah.
AI cannot get you the will, because to use AI, you need to have the will to use AI. Most of the success comes when someone above you in the hierarchy pulls you up. And that is why you see a lot of ill-skilled people around a lot of skilled people, because those ill-skilled people can have loyalty.
Hi Ritesh.
Hi Karishma.
So we are miles away from Delhi and doing a podcast in California. Such is life. I have to keep up with you. You're traveling everywhere, so I have to take flights now to come and do your podcast.
But I'm so excited, Karishma. Such an inspiring work that you are doing. So very grateful for all your impact.
Thank you. And Ritesh, I'm very confused how to introduce you. You've successfully had an exit with Innovate, but you've invested in almost 138 companies, which puts you right up there in terms of investors in India. But there's so much more to you, whether it's Plaksha through education, whether it's healthcare, whether it's just being a really good friend and mentor to so many people. I actually don't know how to categorize your introduction, but we'll begin with the most interesting is that you have completed your MBBS and you can practice today evening if you'd like, but you chose to start up. Yeah. How did that segue happen?
Okay, this is great. So I'm a medical doctor. I did my MBBS. I have 37 doctors in my family, and it's actually a crime to not be a doctor in the family. So when I went to my parents and I said that I do not want to become a doctor, my grandmother said, are you mad? You really need to become a doctor because your father's a doctor, you'll be a doctor, and your son will be a doctor. She actually forecasted that I'll have a son. And she said, your father's a pediatrician, you will do a super specialty in pediatrics, and your son will eventually be a pediatric cardiologist. And that's what our family is. We actually predict careers of our children. Yeah. So I realized one thing. I do not want to be pushed by the momentum of the past. Most of the people are pushed by the momentum of the past. We don't realize as humans, we have something called free will. At times, animals don't have that. That's the only differentiator. I don't want the world to decide what I need to become. So after finishing my MBBS, and in our country, what happens is, when I was in 5th class, my mom said that the moment you come to 6th, life will be very good. Then when I was in 10th, my mom said, after boards, life will be amazing. Then when I was in 12th, my mom said, after boards, you're in college, you know, college is all about Bollywood. It'll be amazing.
Parties, yeah.
And then while doing my MBBS, my mom said, you just need to do PG, do an MD, and then life will be awesome. And I realized life never becomes awesome. It is up to you. And a lot of people don't change. They don't take that plunge. And I'm a huge fan of this poem by Robert Frost. There were 2 roads that emerged, and I took the one less traveled. And that has made all the difference. So I genuinely believe people do not shift their careers. People don't move out of toxic relationships. People are in inertia and they don't get out of pain, agony, suffering because of fear. And fear is false evidence appearing real. So that's what, so I took a call. I do not like medicine, and I started my career.
Wow. And how much, when you come from a typical middle class family, like all of us do, there's so much hesitation to not have that safe, secure job, right? Like when you can practice and you have 37 doctors in your family, so you obviously have that flywheel already existing. For those watching, right, while taking that step or while taking that decision, how do you overcome the fear of, what if this all crashes, or what if I lose the money, or what if I fail at my startup, and then what will society say? What is your advice to people who are just going to take that plunge in a different direction but are bogged down by these thoughts?
I have a phenomenon called the ROSU phenomenon. ROSU stands for reason of starting up. Okay. If your reason of starting up is making money and you want to shift to a better career for the sake of only money, don't do that. The only way to be successful is that you find joy in what you want to do. And I'll give you a very interesting example. At the age of 26, I realized that my true superpower had nothing to do with my formal education. Do you know what my true superpower is? I'm a phenomenal interior decorator.
Wow.
And that's why I succeeded at Innovate.
Yeah.
You cannot succeed at anything where discipline does not come naturally. And discipline will only come at something that you are madly in love for solving someone. So I'll give you an example. Why we started Innovate is very interesting. At that point in time, Starbucks opened in India. And I used to take my extension cord, my laptops, and I used to sit at Starbucks for 6 to 7 hours. To the extent, this is Connaught Place Starbucks. The barista knew that if he comes, he'll hog my table for the next 6 to 7 hours. They actually started giving me really evil looks that you just take a small coffee and you hog my table. And I realized, for a person like me, why can't I have an office wherein I'm welcomed, I get decent coffee, and it does not rip me off of my entire month's budget, which Starbucks did at that point in time.
And doesn't make you feel guilty
Absolutely.
For doing so. Yeah.
So I realized this is a huge problem. If this is a problem for me, it will be a problem for maybe a million other Riteshes out there. And we started Innovate. My true joy was in actually assembling the furniture, creating the maps, and ensuring my entrepreneurs, when they come there, they become super entrepreneurs. And I never cared about money. And that was my ROSU. I realized your reason of starting up needs to be extremely linked to joy. And I have this rule called the 1-2-7 rule. Do you know the word journey? The first, the second, and the seventh alphabet are JOY. In Indian society, we say that the joy comes at the end of the journey. The true joy is right now. And the 1-2-7 rule states that if while creating value, if you are not happy, you will give up, because startups are hard. So I tell everyone, if you are in a sulky job, if you are doing something wherein on a Monday you feel like a Garfield, you're not excited to get up on a Monday morning, you really should think about your life, because it takes 10 raised to the power of 84 trillion to be born as a human. Don't waste even a single day doing something that you don't find joy in.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And most people miss it because I think that you get so caught up in the timeline of things, right? That, okay, you go to college, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house, you buy a car, you buy a house, whatever, right? It's pretty linear.
Yeah.
And you keep, like you said, like your mother would say, after 6th grade, life will be better.
Yeah.
After 11th grade, after 10th grade, life will be better. You keep chasing that better, not understanding that better is actually now. If that's what you make it.
Absolutely.
And then you started Innovate, and the co-working space by design globally, because of what happened with WeWork, was known to be somewhat of a taboo, right?
Absolutely.
Like Okay, like let's not go there because it's already been such a huge crash and burn. And then you had a successful exit, which again is extremely coveted in the Indian startup space, but not enough people reach it. So, what do you think led you to cross over that finish line, to actually start a successful company that people really do love, and then have that exit that most people can't even dream of?
This is a very interesting question, and I'll tell you something very interesting. When we started Innovate, our goal was to start one center and grow by 3 to 4 centers in the next 5 years. So we had a very, very low ambitious goal. Our core focus was that our founders should have a space wherein they become 10x productive, and that was our whole idea about Innovate. Now, when we did this, I read an article that non-tech companies with Indian founders have literally never been selected by Y Combinator. And I said, that's strange. Why don't I apply to YC? And we took the shot, we applied to YC, and we got an interview call. And when I went to YC, I realized, dude, my ambition is so small. When I met Sam Altman here, he asked me, for how many centers do you want to build? I said, we want to build 5 centers, 1 center every year. And I literally thought that he will pat my back and he'll say, wow, that's so ambitious. He said, dude, are you crazy? You are in Silicon Valley. You think about building 500 centers in 3 years. I said, are you high? And then I realized, ambition is a propellant. It is a fuel. It is a fuel that attracts the best people on the planet. So YC happened. I still remember 2016 summer. I was at the Presidio Park and I took the bike. We rented a bike and we were cycling. And Dalton and Michael called me and they said that you've been selected. And I had tears in my eyes because for getting into YC is 10 times harder than getting into a Harvard. And as a middle class student that has never topped, that has never got into, I never had a scholar badge. For me, I called my parents and I said I got into YC. And they said, what is Y Combinator? I said, it's like much more prestigious than Harvard. They said, that's okay, but are you planning to do your MD? I said, now I'm never going to do my MD.
Forget about it. Were you the first non-tech? Wow.
Yeah,
the first non-tech Indian company
out of YC.
Out of YC. That's phenomenal.
So when we went to YC, we had 1 center. We were here for 3 months. My best interaction was with Brian Chesky of Airbnb. And he told something that changed the trajectory of Innovate. He said, you either die as a large corporation or you create a platform that does not add value to your customers. You really need to focus on ensuring that you are a sizable organization so that you can attract the best talent on the planet. You need to think as audacious as you can. So they asked me that, what is the most audacious that you can think? We had 83-seater center in Connaught Place. I told them the most audacious I can think right now is to open a 600-seater in Bangalore. But I don't have the money for it. They said, fly down to India, sign the lease, we'll figure about the money. So we created one of the largest co-working spaces right out of YC in Bangalore. And we raised capital for CapEx actually post signing the lease. So I realized ambition TAM is actually a function of founders' ambition. We are actually grateful to WeWork because WeWork got co-working in the mainstream of venture capital in the world. So that happened. And today we have, I think, close to 50 plus co-working spaces, 53 to be precise, one of the largest in India. We will aim to take it public in the coming few quarters. So let's see how it goes.
Wow. And also you're cash flow positive.
Yes. We did a amazing. 62 crore profit after tax FY24.
That's phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
We've been very grateful.
Yeah.
And a lot of credit actually goes to Oyo.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, when we talk about the idea and when you talk about the fact that this exit happened and it all worked out, the fundamental premise is that you figured out what you really wanted to do and you doubled down on it.
Yeah.
You said that I'm really good at interiors, and I figured this in the spur of a moment at a Starbucks, that why can't I not get decent coffee, a place to work, a place to be more productive without feeling guilty about it? And that's how you start kind of ideating. But a problem that people struggle with, and those who really want to do a startup, is what do I do? How do I figure out my why, right? Simon Sinek says that follow your why. And I believe that if your why is cemented and you're aligned with the basic core value of why am I doing this, the remaining steps are a byproduct.
Yeah.
I was lucky that I found my why very early on in life. I was 21 when I started Humans of Bombay, and I realized that I loved talking to people and I loved community. There are people in their 30s, in their 40s, who still don't understand it. So is there some kind of a mechanism by which people can truly understand what they're put on this planet for and then explore that journey?
This is one of the best questions for anyone who's thinking about a startup. I have this theory wherein I always tell young parents, they keep asking me that you talk about passion. How do we define? I think passion is overrated. We talk about what is the easiest energy flow for an individual. Now, this is very interesting. When teacher in your class is explaining to you a very hard concept about math or physics, what is that student doing on the last bench, not on the first few pages, but on the last page? And I still remember when my math teacher would be teaching, I would be daydreaming about buildings. I would be creating a lot of planes. And find where the energy is going for you as a person. When there's a lot of chaos, what is that one moment wherein you've actually not seen your phone for 3 hours? You're not distracted. You are so in the zone. You call the zone of genius, that you're just so madly excited about doing that you don't want to care about who's messaging me, because right now the biggest anxiety is the phone anxiety. If you don't need to see your phone, that means you are in that zone of genius. Start doubling out there. And I realized for me, during my first startup, I had this office of mine in Noida, horrible place in Noida. And I realized I'm a very hospitable person. I used to love hosting my colleagues. I used to love having the best coffee for them, the best chairs. I would actually invest in getting a better chair. Whereas my co-founder said, dude, are you mad? Like, just get a normal chair for them. I said, we need to get the best ergonomic chair. My team member needs to sit on that chair for 8 hours. And at Innovate, we did a partnership with Bristol, Malaysian company. They charged us a bong, but they are the best chairs on the planet. We said, let us go to the best and create a 10x super entrepreneur experience. And that will only come when you are working on your core genius. And how to define that? Write about everything that you love. And don't actually, the challenge is we restrict that, okay, I cannot write about cars, I cannot write about rockets. Write whatever excites you. And then start experimenting. The challenge is people think that one fine day I will find my why, and then they die. People will never find their why until, and the only way to find your why is by elimination. I did medicine, I eliminated that. I did a hospitality startup, I eliminated that. And I realized you cannot find your why in your mind. We think that we can find our why in the mind. Your mind will always give you the wrong ideas. The only way to find a why, and that's why I always tell this in our education system, expose children to at least 100 industries. They take them to an ISRO launch site, take them to a Britannia factory, take them to and see their eyeballs. What are the places where children just are very curious and they keep asking questions? And that is the only way, because if our country wants to become a large and extremely innovative country, we need to find the why of our citizens.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to find my why. 99% on the planet don't find their why. The only reason Humans of Bombay is successful today is your sheer grit, because you're so passionate about it, it's effortless for you.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think a lot of what you just said is also the perception of subtraction, right? What you're looking at subtraction, people typically tend to look as failure. Did he fail? Which is why he didn't pursue becoming a doctor, or his first startup failed. It was actually not failure. All of that brought you to exactly what you were meant to be doing. For example, like when I was in high school, I wanted to become a lawyer.
Yeah.
I was 100% certain I would become a lawyer. Or I did theater arts. Over time, as I did more and more, I realized that, okay, maybe perhaps it's not for me. But had I not experimented, had I not gone and like really gone deep into the understanding of what really drives me to wake up in the morning, right? Like I keep saying this often, that the best day of the week for me is Monday.
Yeah.
Because I just love going into work. I love having these conversations. Even with podcasting, we started off 2.5 years ago when podcasts weren't what they are today.
Absolutely.
Anybody with a mic, anybody's with any semblance of a conversation skill can do a podcast today, and that's amazing. But we started off where there were a handful of podcasts. But I really loved and enjoyed having those conversations. Have I done other things that didn't work in the career, in the lifespan of Humans of Bombay?
Absolutely.
So many,
Absolutely.
but they're not failures. So how is it that perception about subtraction versus failure can play out for people while they're starting up?
I have this theory. We don't call it failure in our organizations. We call it trial and error. We have a very, very categorical succumbing to the idea that we try, we err, we take a detour, we try again. Growth is never linear. It always goes with a lot of scrappy turns.
Snakes and ladders.
Absolutely. Do you know the best thing that happened for India in 2018 was the Chandrayaan failed. For the first time, 137 crore Indians held each other's hands and they said, my grandmother, she said, it's okay. We'll try it next time. And then I asked her, when I failed in math, where was this optimism? And I genuinely believe failure as a word should be replaced by trial and error. Because in this world, in today's world, wherein we do not know how our curriculum will look in the next decade, the only way to learn is by experiential learning and trial and error. So one thing that I don't mind and I'm very comfortable is I need to try, I need to fail. And I have this beautiful theory called the hats, haircuts and tattoos. This is the best theory for decision making. Most of our decisions are like hats. If it doesn't work out, if you don't like a hat, you can change your hat. There's some decisions like haircuts, wherein if you fail at a bad haircut, it'll take you a month or 2 months to regrow your hair. You might look like a moron for 2 months, but you can always have it corrected. And then there are tattoos. If you are there, what happens is you will have a significant long-term impact. Now, when it comes to trial and error, you can do a lot of trial and error for hats and haircuts. But when it comes to tattoos, because people, they don't realize at times for the most important decisions of their lives, what they do, they try and err. That's also not the right thing. Preparation should be extremely high for tattoo decisions, wherein if it goes wrong, it will have a subsequently long-term impact. Extremely low for haircuts and hats. So as an organization, we love in haircut decisions. We have a policy that any decision that does not lead to reduction of 50% of our working capital will be a decision that can be taken by the L2 layer of the organization. It does not even need to come to me. We need to reduce friction to risk, because without that, we will be a slow-moving organization. So failure is one thing that will, a company, Humans of Bombay today is not successful because of the successes. It is successful because of the failures. Failures let you decide what path not to take. And this is a beautiful Japanese quote which says that, what do you do when you hop on a wrong train? You exit immediately. The challenge is people don't have a stop loss. When they see that they are on a wrong train, they keep going in the wrong train, because the inertia to get off is again that fear that what if I don't get another train?
Yeah.
But that does not mean you go to the wrong destination. I have this thesis that I realized I was in the wrong train. My train would have been extremely wrong. My destination, I didn't want to become a doctor. The day I realized that I'm in the wrong train, I just ran out of it without thinking that whether my mom asked me, what will you do if you're not a doctor? I said, मैं छोले भटूरे बेचूंगा. She said, are you mad? I said, that's how desperate I am to be out of this train. I don't mind selling chole bhature, but when I sell chole bhature, they'll be so tasty that I'll make a haldiram out of it. And these were my actual words. So my belief is, if you're not liking your current situation, we are not like a tree. We can move. I always tell this to my daughter, that trees don't move. We are humans. We can move.
Yeah.
My best friend Saket gives me this example. You're not a tree. If you were born in a place which does not have the opportunities, you can take a flight, really work hard, and move to San Francisco and change your life. Unlike trees, we can move. So I think you can be born wherever you want, but if you die there, you will. And one thing which I hate is regrets. I have proposed to almost 19 girls throughout my life. One thing that I'm very clear about is I don't want to regret tomorrow that I didn't try. Fortunately, everyone said a no to me, but yes.
And you got a gem and
Absolutely.
a diamond. It's
See,
called
if you
Shruti
don't
Malik.
fail,
Yeah,
you don't realize what is the way. Obstacle is the way.
absolutely. So Ritesh, your second part of your journey, which is so elaborate and confusing, it's almost like a Game of Thrones episode, where there are too many arcs in your journey, because I don't know how to keep up. But the second most interesting piece is 138 startups. You've invested in 138 startups. Now, that's just not from a perspective of capital. I know that firsthand, because every time who you've not even invested into, we've never raised funds, we're bootstrapped, but anytime I want advice, you are one phone call away. And I think that across the board in the startup ecosystem, you are known as that person who's always there to help, who mentors, who connects people, who helps the industry grow. Walk me through that journey of 138 startups. And for anybody who's looking to start up, what is a little bit of a checklist or a blueprint that they can adapt to make sure that they're on the right path?
This is very interesting. And interestingly, I've never shared this with anyone. Investing in startups was actually my GTM, was actually my go-to market for Innovate.
Yeah.
Because the competition went so crazy that we needed to have founders' ears with us. So I realized, how do I have founders' ears with us? Because for selling Innovate, and once you are launching maybe 1,000 seats every month, how do you fill these up? So I came up with this idea. I had very small amount of capital. I said, I'll invest 2 lakhs also, but I just want to be on your cap table, and you call me anytime that you want. You will have 24/7 access to whatever you need. We don't take advisory equity. We just want to be on a part of your cap table. Now, that trust, because I think the most important skill for a startup founder is sales. And the only way to sell is build trust. And trust comes by first adding value. Extraction of value is always secondary. So, started investing in almost every startup without thinking whether they'll give us an exit or not, because the larger intent was to have them be housed of Innovate.
Right.
Example, Joe Stocks. We were their earliest investors. We invested a small amount of capital, and then Joe Stocks took 65 seats from us in our Connaught Place Center. And I realized this is a beautiful GTM, but not scalable. I've been very fortunate to have been at YC, and for us, investing in startups is about the following. Being a part of a founder's journey is one of the best privileges another founder can get. Now, just imagine, without doing, I have no formal business background. Without doing any business background, I am in touch with the smartest minds on the planet who are talking about 2050. And like my batchmates, while I love them a lot, my conversations with them are about 2020, 2010, 2000. कि यार वो याद है हम लोग 2007 में ऐसे थे. I want to talk about 2047. I don't want to talk about 2007. While it's great at times, nostalgia is great, but and I realized the easiest way to buy education is to actually invest in startups and talk to them, help them, and the kind of knowledge that you get. And with now we have, I think, 300 portfolio founders with us, and it's a beautiful relationship. We called it burnt capital. We don't care whether this money comes back, it does not come back. We've been very fortunate to invest in startups like Ether. Ether is going public. In fact, we got an email of DRHP today morning. Companies like Inc. 42 and very early stage companies like Inito, YC, backed very interesting hardware company, Nemo. And we've realized one thing. Now just imagine sector agnostic companies, someone's doing something amazing in agriculture, someone's doing something very interesting in healthcare. The kind of knowledge base that I get, I think it's magical. So for me, that is the ulterior motive of investing in startups.
And what is a little bit of a checklist, right, for people to set themselves up to be investable by people like yourself?
I don't have a very high bar. For me, the only bar is the human decent enough to go out for a dinner? I don't like a lot of jackasses are there as founders. I'm very clear with the kind of founders I want to invest in. I don't care whether I get a multiple or not. I'm very cognizant that is the founder deeply. The most important thing is, I learned this from Sanjeev Bikhchandani, the theory of natural attraction. Can the founder create a product? Example, we went to Aloe yesterday.
Yeah.
And I had never heard about Aloe. Today, I'm the biggest brand ambassador for Aloe because Saket told me, dude, this is the brand.
Yeah.
He told me about Aloe like 10 times and I was blown away. And now I'm going to tell this to 10 more people.
Yeah.
Now, just imagine, without spending a single marketing dollar, just by phenomenal product, I genuinely feel the only, in this world where attention has become a deficit, the only way to create something large is to have zero marketing spend.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that and scale a business is to create the best GTM, is create the best product ever. Unique, brag-worthy proposition. Yeah. The customers should be just telling this to everyone.
Yeah, that, oh my God, did you try this? It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how do you get Y Combinator ready? Because nobody seems to have cracked the Y Combinator playbook, but you're so thick in the ecosystem. You were just at YC. All of their founders are in touch with you, like you said. Most founders are in touch with you. What advice would you give people who want that YC tag?
So YC is simple. The easiest way to get YC is remove the clutter. Indian education system incentivizes clutter. मैं आपको एक बहुत अच्छी चीज बता दूं. मैं 10th का बोर्ड एग्जाम देने गया. My mom said, if you get a 1-mark question, write in 1 line. If you get a 5-mark question, write in 2 pages. If you get a 10-mark question, write in 4 pages. And if you get a 20-mark question, write 8 pages about it. My next question was, what if the answer for a 20-mark question can be filled in 1 sheet? She said, never do that. Because your examiner will think you do not know the subject. And today I realize this is the failure of our education system. We are incentivized to create bullshit. And that's why when you talk to, I've recruited a lot of people in my life. 99% of people, I just find the bullshit like this. They talk and talk and talk, and they do not focus. The best people on the planet are the ones who talk the least and get the message conveyed very quickly. And YC is all about that. And I'll give you an example. When I was prepping up for Innovate, to the mock interviewer who was a YC founder, he said, "What do you do?" I said, "India is the global economy, the fastest global economy in the world. We will have these many people who will need office spaces, and co-working is a fad, and people are going to use our spaces to create their companies, and we are going to add this much GDP value." And he said, "Dude, are you crazy? Don't manufacture bullshit. YC is about subtraction." He said, "Tell me in one line what do you do so that I don't have to ask you what the hell are you doing." He said, "Plain English, no manufacturing of bullshit." I said, "We build beautiful co-working spaces back in India. Full stop." He said, "That's it. You do not do anything more than this." And to every founder that I meet, the first thing that I do, I tell them, "Dude, don't complicate. Just do this. Hi, I'm Ritesh. I'm the founder and CEO of Innovate. We build beautiful co-working spaces back in India. Full stop." And this is our marketing pitch. We don't say that, "Oh, we are this, we are that." The second thing that you do is, India is an infrastructurally challenged nation where real estate is in scarce supply. We create spaces for MSMEs, freelancers, and entrepreneurs to house themselves in and build a community for as low as $95 a month. Now, this message is so clear for my investors, for YC, and then you become an investable business because at least your MVP is clear.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell everyone: stop manufacturing bullshit.
That's so clear. And that's so true. Like, you think back to the amount you would write, and the longer you wrote, the answers was apparently better. It really wasn't.
I'll tell you a beautiful story.
Yeah.
In my final year surgery exam, the question came, an essay write about kidney. My dad told me, "Ritesh, if you don't know about kidney, write about the gland nearest to the kidney." And that was the suprarenal gland. I wrote about the suprarenal gland. And actually, I got 5 out of 5.
No.
I'm telling you, I realized one thing. हमारे देश में टीचर कौन बनता है? I asked this to a lot of school going students. I asked them, "How many of you want to become a teacher?" Not even a single hand is up. Being a teacher is a national service. The day our teachers get incentivized as our tech entrepreneurs, the nation propels forward.
Yeah.
And I realized one thing for me personally, and that's what we are trying to do with Laksha. We want to celebrate teachers because teachers have the highest role to play in a GDP growth of a country.
100%.
So that's what I feel. And I realized one thing, that you can manufacture bullshit as much as you want. What requires magic is subtraction of bullshit.
Yeah. So Ritesh, we're talking so much about investment. We're talking about how to build a unicorn. Everybody wants to build a unicorn. About PAT, about these metrics that define the success of a company. But how is that defining the success of a human being holistically, right? Mental health is a topic that's been spoken about so often, especially with the work-life balance debate that's going on. And every week, somebody seems to be adding a new perspective, a new light about what's the ideal work-life balance in terms of a happiness metric for employees, for business owners. What is your perspective on this entire model?
Now, this is very interesting because being a doctor, I get frantic calls at times from unicorn founders, and they have some of the lowest happiness levels I have ever encountered in a human being. And the challenge is our media. Our media celebrates unicorn founders. Our media celebrates, and by the way, unicorns are a fallacy. They do not exist. My belief is the day we start celebrating the right things, because by the end of the day, we want to be known by our media publications. And unfortunately, media only and only focuses on 1 or 2 characteristics. By the way, wealth, I take a seminar on wealth wherein we do not talk about wealth at all. my first slide is, who do you want to be? Do you want to be Warren Buffett with a net worth of $120 billion at 94? Or do you want to be Ritesh Malik with a net worth of, say, extremely small, a couple of $1 million, but at the age of 35? And then you realize the concept of time billionaires. Time is the most important asset. The Harvard study that lasted for 80 years suggested happiness has very little to do with money. In fact, Easterlin paradox states, Professor Easterlin created this beautiful paradox that stated that we think with money our happiness keeps on increasing. With money, till a particular point, our happiness increases. And after that, it either stabilizes or decreases. So the question is, what are we looking for in life? And I have the KISS rule: keep it simple, stupid. I do not care about the vanity metrics of the world. Anything which will have you in media, and media can make you extremely powerful and it can make you extremely powerless in no time. So I'm very careful in my association and I focus on relationships. The most important thing on the planet is fostering deep long-term relationships. And if you are able to do that, you're golden. That's, for me, that's wealth. And when it comes to founders, at least in India, earlier we were chasing being a unicorn. Now we are chasing being a profitable unicorn. Tomorrow we'll chase something else according to the time of the season. My belief is create companies, create businesses that add value to all layers of the environment, be it your investors, be it yourself, be it your planet, be it everyone who's around you. And if you can do that, wherein your employees feel extremely happy to come to work, I think that's a success, even if it is a 100-member team.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge believer of creating long-term wealth rather than creating short-term unicorn stories. And at the cost of creating a unicorn, a lot of people are not spending enough time with their families. They're not spending enough time on their health. And they think that, okay, एक दिन आएगा that हम लोग तब health पे काम करेंगे. वो एक दिन कभी नहीं आता.
Yeah.
I have a rule. Tomorrow never comes. कल आज बन जाता है और आज फिर कल बन जाता है. I keep telling my wife, do you know what is the only responsibility we have today? And she asks, what? She said, to feed our daughter, to take care of our work. I said, no. The only responsibility we have today is to be happy in what we have. And the only way to be happy, the opposite of happiness is not misery. It's all about creating gratefulness. Can you be grateful for things in life? And if you start becoming grateful and ambitious at the same time, you create magic in your life. So it's a very deep, and a lot of people don't understand. And someone asked me, and I asked my best friend, why are you happy all the time? He's a school teacher in a government school. I said, dude, like, why the hell are you happy? Like, you're way more happier than I am. He said, because I'm grateful. I said, what are you grateful for? He said, I'm grateful for everything around me. Plus, I'm grateful for the fact that I don't have what I don't want. That's very deep. He said, I don't want cancer. I don't have it today. I'm grateful. And that changed my entire outlook of life. You can be grateful just to be born on this planet because it's a rarity to be born. So for me, one thing that I've mastered, I'm very proud of, is I'm extremely happy, touch wood.
Touch wood.
I am so happy because I'm deeply grateful for everything that's happening around me. And being grateful is a superpower. It's very hard to be. And the second thing which I tell people, if you want to be happy, it's a very difficult thing to do, because as an animal, we are all animals. If someone else becomes happy, the first reaction of a human being, because we are all negative, is we start becoming sad. Not because that they are happy, because why aren't we in their place? If you force yourself to become happy for other people, it takes time, but it's a force multiplier.
Yeah.
I can tell you one thing. One of the best skills I have. I'm not a unicorn founder. I don't have a lot of money, but one of the best skills that I have is, if anyone who's my friend becomes happy, I have the ability to be more happy than him or her. That is magical. You can't even believe the joy that you get if you're able to inculcate that. And if my friend is sad, I have more empathy and sensitivity to be sadder than him or her. If you can do that, it's very deep, very hard to build. I've conditioned myself. The moment my friend gets a new capital raise, I don't think about my capital raise. I first celebrate that, because you need to clap when your people get on the top.
Yeah.
Because the moment you clap, they give you your example. Saket nominated me for the World Economic Forum, while he did not get into that. But I realized he just did it out of pure selflessness, and selflessness is rare. So I'm a huge believer that we have the next big pandemic will not be COVID, it will be mental health. We are going to see a massive raise in mental health challenges in our country, and we need to talk more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have such an interesting vantage point, because the amount of people that you just interface with on a daily basis, for example, you've seen the high and low of Oyo, for example, through Ritesh Agarwal, who's your friend, Paytm. You just recently interfaced with Elon Musk. It's such diverse perspectives. What is the one thing that you think is a common thread, right, in leaders who are either seeing the upside or are going through a downside?
Sheer grit. I think grit is one thing. If you talk about Ritesh, 2020, almost every media outlet in the world wrote obituaries about Oyo. Last quarter, their PAT was 166 crores. I met Ritesh, me and Ritesh had gone to meet Elon Musk together. He told me something very interesting. He said, even I didn't think we'll be able to survive this. But one thing which I knew was that this is the best thing that has happened to us. And sheer optimism, when everything is, the question is, can you laugh when you are in the middle of a mortuary? That's a skill which is very hard to build.
Yeah.
Because most of the people in the world, they will frown when they are in a mortuary. Can you laugh when you're in a mortuary is a skill I've seen countless founders, sheer grit, sheer relentlessness, and smiling through extreme sense of pain. When you are getting 100 injections, can you smile? Because you don't realize the only difference between you and your leaders, and if they are reporting into you, is courage. There's a book called Be the Lion. In that, it beautifully says, lion is not the largest or the fastest. Still, lion is the king of the jungle. The only difference is the ability of the lion to not doubt and to be courageous in the most difficult circumstances. So I think courage is one of the most beautiful skills a founder can get. When going gets difficult,
the tough get going.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. When it comes to leadership, when it comes to talking about capitalism versus just being a good human being, people think that they're agnostic. You're either capitalist and you can't make a difference, or you're making a difference, but you're not reaching your financial goals while doing so. I think you're one person who has managed to do both in a very, very healthy and successful way, because you give back tremendously. I personally know that every single time I have called you for advice, I have counted on you to give me that advice and get on the other side of the call, while also having making smart financial decisions and having the outlook that money is important. So talk to me about that balance for those who are watching.
I think 90% of the world is good because they don't have the skill. They have no other option. I see a lot of people in corporate India. They are extremely good. They are lambs and they look out at their bosses because they do not want to be axed, because they are not skilled. Then there are a lot of people who are skilled but horrible human beings. Narcissism is rising like anything in the world. I respect people who are good at heart but are deeply skilled. So for me, how I judge people is I don't want to be with people who are good but skillless, because I don't learn anything from them, because they will always salute. I don't like people who salute. I want to be with people who are good but extremely skilled, extremely willed. I have this framework, at least while hiring, I use that, called the IWS framework. It's beautiful. Integrity, will, and skill. Skill is everywhere. Will is rare. Integrity is Kohinoor. You don't find integrity. When it comes to my L1 team members, the only thing I look out for is integrity with will. I'm not bothered by skill, because skill will come. We'll in this world of AI, AI will augment you to become a superhuman. AI cannot get you the integrity.
Yeah.
AI cannot get you the will, because to use AI, you need to have the will to use AI. So I'm very bothered. So I have this theory wherein at the top of my organization, I need high integrity, high will. Bottom, I need average integrity, extremely high will. At the lowest level, I'm not bothered by integrity, will, or skill. I'm just bothered by creating systems, because those are lambs. Those are sheeps. I just need one highly integrity and willed person taking a pack of 1,000 sheep together by creating systems, by creating SOPs. So that's how at least I look at it.
Okay, very interesting. We'll close with this, right? You read voraciously, and you're in a position where you can pretty much summarize human psychology along with success metrics, happiness, as well as leadership. What would your last advice be? What would your final piece of advice be to those who are watching and who want a little bit of guidance on the next step that they're about to take?
I live by 3 rules. The first one is momentum, the second one is subtraction, and the third one is people. To anyone who's watching this, who wants to be big, I always tell this: great people are amazing at creating momentum. One thing that I worry about always is momentum increasing or decreasing? I go by Newton's first law of motion. The body at rest stays at rest. The body in motion stays in motion until an external force is applied at it. Momentum is the external force, you are the body. Whatever happens, 99% of people that I meet, they don't act. They don't start their momentum. If you want to lose 20 kgs, you first have to lose 5 grams. The discipline to start the ball rolling. An extremely small stone, when goes through the snow-clad mountains of Himalayas, creates large balls of avalanche. It is not the stone that mattered. It is the fact that the stone started its journey from the top to the bottom. There was another stone just over there thinking, should I start rolling down or should I wait? If you don't start, you are the only thing I'm bothered about. Trial, error, failure, these are great words, but it is just start.
Yeah.
I meet so many people who wait for the right idea, who wait for the right product, who, if I did not build AdStuck with my co-founder Abhishek, we would have never started Innovate. Because while doing AdStuck, I realized that great offices are a huge need.
Yeah.
If I never did Innovate, I would have never thought about being a part of Plaksha. If I never was a part of Plaksha, I would not have joined as an advisor to MIT. So success is a ladder. People think it's people take success as walking on a path which is paved. As a leader, so I always say the difference between a leader and a manager is as follows. A manager's job is to make sure trains are on time. A leader's job is to go to the Himalayas and create those tracks where there is no track. Now, the question is, which is more important? You need to be a paradoxical leader, know when to be a leader and when to be a manager. And paradoxical leadership wins always. And so the first one is momentum. If you have an idea, take 48 hours, create a no-code platform, go to someone and tell, would you buy this? You immediately stop the inertia, stop the friction and start into momentum.
Yeah.
And one thing leads to another. The good part is, okay, this is very interesting. It's very easy. Now, this is interesting. It is very easy to push a vehicle that is already in motion. It's very difficult to push a vehicle which has its brakes on and which is sedentary.
Yeah.
So that's momentum for you. The second thing is Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The world is full of crazy people, but ensure the best skill you can do, and it is by design, it's for my selfish interest. I'm a brilliant salesperson. We had one of the lowest commission costs at Innovate because I have high trust in the market. If you want to sell, have a good reputation, long-term reputation, and that does not mean you sell things for free. I want to earn the top dollar. I do not want my product to go for a cheap cost, but at the same time, for that, I'll give you an example. I met the world's second largest media corporation. They wanted to set up an office in India. They said we need 150 seats. I sat with the management and I told them that, dude, you're crazy. You just need 60 seats. They said, like, it's a loss for business for you. I said, you'll expand with me. I want you to take 60 seats and then expand to 150. I don't want to cheat you. Sales is all about trust. If I'm able to create top dollar trust for people, they're going to give me what I ask. First, give value, then extract value. The second piece, from momentum, I go to subtraction. Indians are brilliant at manufacturing bullshit. Subtract everything that is not working. I call this, in our team, it is very popular. Did you do a funeral today? So we have this conversation with our team members. What did we put fire to? हमने कौन सी चीज की चिता जलाई? Did you do a funeral of a value chain that does not work any longer? And if you are doing multiple funerals, you start conserving energy. We want to be nimble, we want to be small. We do not want to do, and for the chain of restaurants that we run, we have a very simple theory. We don't want to be everywhere. We want to be the most profitable restaurant chain at center level. And the only way to do that is focus on 12 hero products, dal makhni, but sell 25,000 dal makhnis from one center every year. And make it so consistent, so beautiful that people just come back for the same. And that will only come when you know that you need to have only 12 hero products. So focus, eliminate everything that is not working. People, and people want to be everything. People want to have, people cannot eliminate, because our educational system has an evolutionary process of adding. For us, adding is a positive and subtraction is negative. It's actually opposite in the world of startups. And the last piece is people. Everything on the planet. I'm a massive introvert. You can't even imagine. I'm seeing you in eyes. It's a miracle of the world. I hate looking people in the eyes. I've not had the best childhood. Introversion comes very naturally to me. I used to panic even looking in the mirror. And then I realized one thing. I cannot be an entrepreneur if I'm not comfortable with people. So the first thing that I did, I learned public speaking. If you want to be an entrepreneur, learn public speaking. It is all about narrative setting. It is all about storytelling, because the only difference between you and the most skilled leader out there is your ability to weave a plan of action, because stories have emotions. Actually, people think stories are mystical. Stories are true force of nature. I call them the fifth dimension of the world. Best entrepreneurs in the world are able to create beautiful stories. And stories are magical. I always created this story that at Innovate, when an entrepreneur comes, we are going to create a 10x entrepreneur. We are going to create a space wherein the entrepreneur feels that he's in the best Starbucks of the world without being judged, for paying as little as possible and creating technology products for the world. I just feel that stories are magical. So it's all about people. Build deep relationships. People are short-sighted. So the biggest challenge with people is people are so short-sighted. The moment they think that their work is done, they just don't build deep relationships. I have a theory. I want to have 7 relationships, but every relationship should be so deep that tomorrow, if I just look at the eye of the person, he just opens my doors. I don't even need to tell them. 99% of all opportunities in the world, I've never asked. It's a different sort of leadership. People have been telling me, you need to hustle, you need to tell people I need this. I've just been fortunate. A new form of leadership. I don't ask. I genuinely cannot ask. It's not that I don't want to. Who does not want to come in the World Economic Forum? I just cannot ask. I feel that I'm not worth it. And then people do the magic because they know you will okay, this is the last point here is very interesting, which people don't realize. Most of the success comes when someone above you in the hierarchy pulls you up. And that is why you see a lot of ill-skilled people around a lot of skilled people, because those ill-skilled people can have loyalty. And loyalty, trust is one of the most underrated things, that I'm not going to stab you at the back. A lot of skilled people on the top. That is why you see presidents of the world are surrounded by average skilled people, but who are massively loyal. So and that's why we always judge that who the hell made this person so powerful. And then you don't realize that this person has invested his time, efforts in building that trust, that even if I have a dagger, I will not stab you ever.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the most important skills to have.
Yeah, it is amazing and a beautiful way to summarize it. And I think that a lot of people are going to watch and relate. And thank you so much, Ritesh. We're due for a part 2 and we'll do that soon.
Absolutely.
But it's been so amazing to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being the best community, and we'll see you in the next one.